Christ.
I'm gonna hit you.
They want to drink Merlot. We're drinking Merlot.
No, if anybody orders Merlot, I'm leaving. I am not drinking any fucking Merlot!
I think Alexander being involved has been really, really essential to our success. Helps us raise money, it helps us have this really strong board, it helps us do some really fun and great programs because he has a lot of friends who are cinephiles. Please help me welcome in Hornaday and the director of the incredible film we just watched, Alexander Payne.
So opening weekend, right? This is the weekend it went wide.
Well,
Right?
about 800 screens this weekend.
Are you an opening weekend guy? Are you checking the grosses and calling the?
I get the emails.
Okay. Do you open the emails more to the?
I do, but I'm from drama club, not business club.
Yeah.
And I don't really understand this cume and this, like I don't.
Per screen averages and.
Yeah. It's some
P.S. His
chart.
per screen average is very good, by the way.
Anyway, I don't actually know how to read those charts, but I'm told it's doing okay.
I think it's doing more than okay. And I think this is the kind of movie, I say this all the time, but as a critic, I just want a movie that I can send people to without a lot of caveats. And,
A lot of F-bombs in the movie.
well, but they're so warm and funny. They're not mean or vicious. Well, maybe there's an edge there, but it's not fatal.
My mom's 100, and a few years ago, her favorite movie was Wolf of Wall Street. I
Oh,
said,
great.
Mom, hi, Tanya. The F word is said like over 400 times in that movie. She goes, I didn't even notice.
That's right. Even though you filmed this in New England, I sense that Omaha is woven into this movie.
How so?
Well, we've talked about this a little bit, but your experience at Creighton Prep, so it wasn't necessarily a boarding school experience. But I first saw this at the Toronto International Film Festival, and when you answered questions there, you said there are a couple of Latin jokes thrown in for your buddies from Creighton.
Yeah, no, for my buddies from Latin class.
Okay, from Latin. And I heard somebody over here laugh at one. Yeah, you got it, right? Are you from that? Are you from that cohort? Okay. Well, kudos to you, sir, for getting the
Did you take
joke.
Latin at prep?
No, I took Latin someplace else.
Okay, all right, very good.
So I'm not going to ask you to translate each and every joke, but what does Tully say when Paul's saying you're crossing the Rubicon, and then
That's what Julius Caesar famously said. He was warned not to cross the Rubicon
and that was
to bring his troops back to Rome. And he said, alia jacta est, the die is cast, let's throw fates to the wind. We have the little-known word aleatory in English, having to do with fate or luck.
great, and is this all courtesy of your Jesuitical education, sir?
Well, yeah, and I studied some Roman history in college.
It comes in handy. Well, and this is what I mean about that you're bringing your own life into this movie, as did Paul Giamatti, to a certain extent.
Yes, yeah, he likes that stuff too. In fact, he's, the actors' strike just was resolved a few days ago, so now he can join the promotion of the film. And when it premiered in L.A. a couple of weeks ago, I got a text from him. He said, because knowing I was on my way to the premiere, and he said, I feel like Achilles, brooding in my tent.
That's fabulous. Well, yeah, he obviously comes by it honestly. And then is this also maybe a little bit, I mean, I know you didn't write the script. This beautiful script was written by David Hemmingson. But it was a project you had been nurturing, it was based on a premise that you gave him.
Yeah, I still worked on the script too.
Exactly.
Put some classical jokes in there.
That's what I figured, those little touches. But is there some Peggy Payne in here too? The homage to your mom, the
Not
teacher?
really, no.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
All right. To the teachers we've known and loved, or that have changed our lives?
I never thought that, and then I was showing the movie a few weeks ago over in Lyon, in France, and Thierry Frémaux said, when he was introducing the film, this film gives glory to a teacher, and it was like exactly the 3rd anniversary where a teacher had been assassinated in France 3 years before, and he said, we need films which really emphasize how much we need teachers and how much teachers give us. So I hadn't seen that in the movie, but I'm glad he did and some others do.
Well, you famously are not a fan of talking about the themes of your movies, so.
Let's have at it.
Well, no, but
Whatever you want.
I think that's where you all come in. We are going to open this to your questions too. But sometimes I think it's probably more fun for you to learn what we think. To sort of these things that you weren't intending, but that we get.
Exactly right. I think I said this to you before. When I'm making a movie, I'm the one, like in the process of it, I'm the one who most knows what it is and should be and can be. And then once it's finished and it's out, I'm the one who least knows what it is. Because it doesn't belong to me anymore. It's in the perception of each viewer. So, and plus I've seen it so many tens of thousands of times that it's like repeating the same syllables over and over again. It becomes nonsense. So I'm like, I liked your movie. Really?
Yeah, what movie?
Why? But then I need about 8 or 10 years to go by, and then I can see it. Like I saw Sideways a couple weeks ago for the first time in years. I went, now I see what they were talking about. It's not so bad.
Oh, that's fascinating. But yet you do watch them. I mean, you have watched this. Every time I've, seen you on the circuit, you've sat and watched the movie.
Well, not that has tapered off. I wanted to with this audience.
Yeah.
But by the way, great audience. Thanks for getting all the jokes. Really generous audience. Then I've tapered off doing that. But it's fun to watch it with an audience because I told young Dominic, the actor, plays the kid, his first time ever in front of a camera. He's never done anything.
Yeah, we need to get into that.
He was an actual high school senior at Deerfield Academy, playing a high school junior, shooting at Deerfield Academy. And he'd star in the acting club, but he'd never done anything. But I feel for him, because unlike stage actors or musicians, in film, we don't have that immediacy of an audience. Like what we do in that moment is what the audience sees, and you have that communication. The closest you can get is with an audience, watching it with an audience like in its first couple of months of release, because a movie isn't complete without an audience, especially a comedy.
Exactly. Those subtle moments, all of you really did get them.
Some guy in the corner gets a joke. And it spreads.
This gentleman with the Latin joke. It's wonderful. Thank you.
And then once this movie's out of release, it goes away forever. I won't see it with an audience again. So I do enjoy watching it with audiences.
Understood. I do. I mean, the casting of Dominic Sessa is extraordinary. Divine Joy Randolph, absolutely exquisite. And of course, your reunion with Paul Giamatti. And I know I might leave it to all of you to ask those questions. I would like to talk a little bit about Miss Carrie Preston.
Boy, she's good. She plays Miss Crane.
Lovely performance.
Yeah, whenever she comes on screen, I go, oh, good, her again. She's so good.
And speaking of all those nuances, she's playing a lot of layers. I thought, and I saw it again tonight, was just really subtle. I have one question. When we first meet her and she comes and knocks on Paul Hunnam's door, she's got a little lipstick on her teeth.
That was in the screenplay.
It was? Yeah. What do you? And
she has lipstick on her teeth.
And maybe this is getting too granular, but like, what is that? Is that a vulnerability? It's just
that she's kind of
character beat.
Wears a little too much makeup, and bless her heart, she's just kind of dorky and. And then what I liked about her performance, it's in the writing, but she does it so well. I've never seen exactly that in a movie before, at least, when I've seen, which is, this person, am I getting flirted on?
Right.
Or is this person just nice to everybody?
Right.
Like, how am I supposed to read this? Because we encounter people like that.
Absolutely.
I like that in her.
Oh, and again, she plays that. She just walks that line perfectly.
I didn't know who she was.
Really?
She was on The Good Wife, a TV show called The Good Wife, and She goes, like, my best friend's wedding. She's been around for, she auditioned well, and then I looked her up. Oh, wow, I watch mostly old movies.
Well, she's terrific, and she does deserve that kind of a showcase role. You know, I mean, it really does.
She saw it for the first time only a couple of weeks ago. Divine Joy Randolph saw it for the first time only today.
Yeah. Well,
She
this
hadn't
is,
seen it yet.
you know, I'm so excited, and let's talk about Dominic now because, as you have said to me, you know, here's his big moment. You know, this kid with this breakout role, and he has not been able to participate in the
Or see it with an audience.
exactly, and feel
Now
what he deserves to feel.
Now he can.
Yeah, and I'm glad it happened now. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm glad it was
Not much
settled in time for him to have this, you know, the full experience because he certainly deserves it.
He's currently a sophomore at Carnegie Mellon in Pittsburgh. He was on his way to being an actor. So when we were shooting, he was making his applications to NYU and Carnegie Mellon and somewhere else, and wound up at Carnegie Mellon. Very prestigious acting program.
Have you ever discovered? I mean, this is a bona fide discovery.
Yeah, I had what's her name, Reese Witherspoon and Shailene Woodley when they were in their teens, but they already had a lot of experience and
Right.
they were already going places. This was genuinely, you know, going to the pound. I'll take this one.
That's pretty cool. That must feel pretty neat for you, you know, to be a part of launching somebody's career that way.
It is, and it's. I don't pay myself a whole lot of compliments in filmmaking, but I think I've been blessed with the ability to see talent in others. And I have help. John Jackson, my Council Bluffs-based casting director, is very into that. And the Susan Shopmaker, my New York-based casting director, this one also really into it, that there's talent everywhere. And it's
true.
just a matter of finding it and spotting it and making them feel good. And I could never do that stuff. I can clown around and, you know, act things out for others, but once that camera, I'd be too self-conscious.
They make it look easy. I want to dig deep.
Super hard.
Yeah.
Or unique. It's a unique talent.
I am so fascinated by the party scene, by the Christmas party scene. And we've talked a little bit about it, but I want to kind of go granular on that because that you had said to me at one point that you were afraid of it.
Yeah, like 12 pages at one location, and how's that going to work? And yeah, you know, when certain scenes you're a little afraid of. Is it going to work? We're all stuck in that house, you know. Anyway, go ahead, sorry.
Well, so tell me about it. First, let's start with that location, that house. Because it was one house, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
Which is not always
Even
the
the
case.
basement where the kids are playing and doing their arts and crafts, same location. So that's not very common in movies. Like even the fictional Barton Academy, the whole school is comprised of 5 different schools. When I shot Nebraska, northeastern Nebraska 10 years ago, that's, I don't know, 6 or 7 different towns. We were bunking up in Norfolk and then going to towns which orbit it. But yes, sometimes the gods smile and you get like a Giving Tree location. Thanks for asking.
I mean, the KitchenAid dishwasher alone, am I right? Did we all have one? I remember that dishwasher.
This older Greek lady lived there, if you could believe it. She had never updated her house. She was a widow. The whole thing, you know, she'd moved in there in the 60s, never changed anything. You pray to find these things.
And each of those characters has a moment in that scene where the sound design is lovely, and we have talked about this before, but I just want to, these are the kinds of subtleties that sometimes if you're having the experience for the first time, you know, you're immersed in the movie and you may not be picking things apart, but it's exquisite what you do with the sound when you drop it out to give each one of them a private moment, just with, usually with music, right?
Each of the 3 there, so they're apart during the scene, but they are kind of bonding, even though they're apart. Each has a sort of flirtation. And then I just use the opportunity to kind of use music to go inside each's loneliness or grief or whatever somehow. So the boy looking at the snow globe with the little tinkle tinkle, all the other sound drops away. When she's listening to Artie Shaw and thinking about her son, all other sound drops away. Right. And when Paul Giamatti sees Miss Crane kissing the dude,
Right.
all other sound went away except Andy Williams.
And then, you know what I noticed tonight was you reprise that when they're coming back in the car, but they're together this time. They're together in the same silence this time.
Oh, you mean when they go to Boston?
When they come back from Boston, by that time they have bonded. I mean, they are definitely a unit, and you bring that sound down in the car. But that's where we see Paul at with that little smile. You know, it's like they're sharing the silence. They're not an individual silence.
Yeah, I personally hadn't seen it that way. There are times when you drop out all sound except music just to carry the day a little bit. In that case, I didn't. If you saw it that way, I'm happy, but I didn't see it as subjective.
Right, it wasn't intentional.
As its use in the party.
Understood. I want to ask you another music question. I love the music in this movie. I love the source music that you used and the soundtrack music, but also the score, Mark Orton's score. It's just lovely. Do you use temp tracks with your films?
Temp track means when you're editing a movie, even before you know what actual music you're going to have, what the composer's going to do, you start slapping music on it from other movies, and whether you can afford it or not, like just to get a sense of the rhythm and the feeling and the mood. Film is never without music. Yes, we did.
And then because
always.
Because I've heard sometimes that, like Kubrick apparently would just get completely attached to his temp track, you know.
Called Temp Love.
Temp Love.
There's a name for it, Temp Love.
Are you vulnerable to that?
Oh, yeah. It's really disappointing when the composer cannot match what you've grown used to and which works so well. In fact, Nebraska, because this composer, Mark Orton, did Nebraska 10 years ago. Anyway, we started being fed music by him from other movies, and I fell so in love with it, we just called him up and said, can we, did anybody see those movies? And nobody had really seen those movies he had scored. So I said, can we? And he agreed. He goes, well, I still own the rights to that stuff because he keeps the rights to his music.
Perfect. Lucky you. I think I want to open up. I would love to open this up to some questions.
I want to
from the
mention,
audience.
just because we're in Omaha, he's not here tonight, but maybe I'm going to try to get him to go. I'm doing a QA at Film Streams tomorrow and at, well, I won't say it. Tomorrow night.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But Nate Carlson is a graphic designer and graphic artist I've been working with since election in 1997 or 98. And I haven't really talked about him, but he's a major player in all my movies. He lives on North 72nd Street, kind of on your way to Emmanuel Hospital. And he's just downloading fonts all day and designing things, and so he does all the graphics in all of my, from the credit sequences to a poster on the wall to a newspaper someone's reading to there's a sign. I happen to have a daughter named Despina. There's
I
a
saw
sign
that
in the back. Despina's Butorium.
Butorium. I saw it
He did
in
that,
Roxbury.
and so, and then he's also designed, there's a record album coming out of the music, double vinyl, and he did all of the, anyway.
And he's an Omaha guy, huh?
Omaha guy. He works for, a graphic designer can be anywhere. He works on other movies too, a lot of them. But anyway.
Speaking of Omaha guys, by the way, a couple of, I was told there are a couple of supporting players in this movie. Brinker's here.
Is he?
Harry Koch.
Hey.
Did anybody pick up those names?
Is Hal here? Oh, hey.
Hal here?
They saw it at Telluride. Thanks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that wasn't a big surprise. Do you do that? Do you and then the
Brinker,
Despina thing? That's fun.
It was a shout out to Brinker because I was shooting at Deerfield and Brinker went to Deerfield, so it's only decent of me to say, hey, I was thinking about you. You know, and Hal and Brinker and I have known each other since we were 5.
It's wonderful. That's terrific. I think let's try to get some questions from the audience because you all
Can I point out one other thing,
Sure,
too?
of course.
Just because it's a little fun fact, if you care. The same actor plays the Episcopal minister in the first act and the bartender with Santa Claus.
Oh, same guy?
Same guy.
That's amazing. Did anybody pick that up? Okay, well, that's a sweepstakes question. That's fantastic. All right, so where are my microphone people? Okay, cool. And then I suppose if you have a question, raise your hand. And then if I have a couple of ringer questions, but I want to hear from you. Are you kidding? I don't see any hands. Yes, we have some down here.
These two gentlemen.
First off, Alexander, thank you. This was absolutely an awesome film. Thank you for creating this masterpiece, man. Thank you.
Who are you? What's your name?
My name's Chris.
Hi, Chris. Alexander. Nice to meet
Yes, sir. Nice to meet you as well. So, so much depth to all these characters and so much personalization in your stories. So I have to ask, which one of these characters or what part of the story do you have actual identity to?
Next. That's a tough question. The writer, David Hemmingson, will declare that he sees himself, that Mary has a lot in common with his mother, that Paul is based on an uncle. There's even on Time Magazine online, he's got an article in there about, oh, my Uncle Earl is just like this guy. And then the boy we can all kind of relate to, like a young Dustin Hoffman sort of. Well, I can't answer that directly, but I can say that when making a film, I have to put myself into all of them or see myself in all of them. Just, it's not autobiographical, but you have to make it personal with the emotions. I have to feel what they're feeling somehow, so I know how to direct that, and so it's accurate. I think when stuff is too schmaltzy, it's because they don't really feel it. They don't really know it, so they kind of force it.
And they overdo. I think one of the finest scenes in this movie is with Mary and her sister, when her sister's husband just looks in and keeps walking. And you just know, so much is communicated in that in terms of what he knows and what he sees and what he's letting. I don't know. It's just, it's and again, that could so easily be overplayed and explicit and literal and explained. And so I think you're exactly right. If you know that feeling, you don't need any more than that.
Yeah, for those with eyes to see. Yes, sir.
Hi, Gary Javich.
Gary?
I was so impressed with the photography. You gave it an ambiance like from that era, 1970s. How'd you go about doing that?
Part of it was the lenses used and the way the cinematographer lit it, and the filmic treatment we did after the fact, adding grain and what's called gate weave, like it's still moving a little bit in the projector. Like things that film projection used to have. By the way, you watched it digitally. We do have 35 millimeter prints.
Really?
Which are screening now only in 4 theaters: the Belcourt in Nashville, the Music Box in Chicago, Coolidge Corner in Boston, and one other one that's...
Who shows 35? Who would it be?
Well, we can't hear, but we just didn't.
That's cool.
But they're digging it at the Belcourt. You ever been there?
Indeed.
In
No, I know of them, and I know them. I've talked to
Rachel
them.
knows all these places.
Exactly, and Kathy at Coolidge
But
Corner.
it's
Those
so
are all
cool.
fine establishments.
At Focus, they know all those theaters. Like in LA, you think, oh, what? Do they know from film streams? Like, yes. The art distributors. But kind of more important than that is what's being shot. And the aesthetic of making a period movie, well, I'll say something negative about other movies. It's not nice of me, but so often you see period movies that are very emphatic about saying, look how period we are, and the kitchen appliances and the hairdos and the costumes and everything. And I wanted it to feel like we were making a low-budget movie 53 years ago.
Yeah.
That everything's sort of found and grimy and banal, like we're not paying attention to it. And we were able to do that because there's a lot of old stuff in Massachusetts.
Oh, tell the rowing machine. Where did you get the rowing machines? Those rowing machines at the end.
Thank you for asking.
We haven't seen those in years.
That took many, many, many hours.
Yeah.
That 3-second shot. I don't think it's in the script. The production designer said, what about rowing machines? Would that help? Well, he finally tracked them down at Harvard, and they had to go on a certain day and pull them out of the attic and then truck them to where we were shooting, have guys work overnight mounting those pull things onto a floorboard, and then Like just that took a lot of work.
But those three, that was so worth it.
Yeah, thanks.
It's just, but it's amazing what labor goes into just those brief moments
Cars you can put schmutz on. Because oftentimes when you see old cars in movies, they're all pristine. Either they don't think about it, or it's because the collectors who own the cars are watching and saying, well, you're not going to put dirt on my baby. It's like, well, actually, yes, we are. And then here's, like the period that you're asking about, Gary, like getting 150 boys with the right hair.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and we talked about this in Virginia, the right body, the right body types, because now everybody's working out so much. They didn't work out. They weren't pumped up back in the 70s.
So nice when you see Dominic and
exactly.
barely has any muscles at all. He'll get the Marvel thing now. And
his Adam's apple should get a nomination, let alone him. His Adam's apple.
Oh, yeah, right.
It's epic. It's wonderful.
So he was 19 when we shot. I thought he felt a little old for the part, but anyway, it worked out.
Do I see other hands? I see one. There's some.
Holly Herman, hello.
Holly Herman.
I've noticed now with all your movies, but especially the last movie.
Everyone can hear.
Oh, very good.
That's for Holly. Thank you. You worked with water in Descendants, and it was hard to shoot because the light was always changing, the waves were always changing. And then you worked with miniaturization in Downsizing, which was very challenging, I imagine. But this movie had snow. And was it real snow, or was it
That's a nice question.
after production snow?
About 2/3 of it's real.
Oh,
Maybe 80%. We were shooting. Winter comes later anymore, so
Right.
we started shooting in late January, February, March of 22 last year, and got dumped on. It was so. In fact, we had so much snow that we lost 2 or 3 days of shooting. It was like too dangerous to get the trucks out.
so those young boys, the students, did they have to stay out in the cold for that long time? And did they complain, and did the actors complain? Because I think being in Hawaii would be better.
Yeah, I don't really care. I have a movie to make. But no, the snow was, like at the beginning where Paul Giamatti's walking to the dining hall or to see Woodruff through, that was all, we were so happy that day, and we were hustling, running from one location to the other, like running with the equipment to make sure we got all these little shots before it stopped snowing. And, when they exit the chapel. Oh, meeting the hooker in Boston, those were actual flurries. When there weren't, we did add, so it's 3 or 4 things. It's real snow, fake snow, like 200 tons of fake snow were used. It's called special effects. Visual effects is like digital stuff. Special effects is when they so I had a tremendous crew chipping snow and bringing in trucks and laying it out. And then, they have like styrofoam and cottony things they put down, like when they leave the winning ticket bar and they're driving. And he says, how many boys do you know have had their hands blown off? Those are like styrofoam things put down. And then after all of that, digital.
Yes.
Hi, Alexander, Laura over here.
Hi, Laura.
How are you guys? My question is another fabulous running scene. That's Paul is chasing the young guy around, but you just have, in so many of your films, you have that fun running thing.
Slapstick.
Yeah, it's awesome.
This one wasn't naked.
Yeah.
My little 6-year-old daughter the other day saw the movie, and then a couple days later, questions arose. And she goes, Daddy, did that boy really break his arm?
Oh.
And I go, no, it's pretend. And I explained about a stunt man and everything. And she, so it's, what about the clothes? I go, well, the actor gave his clothes to the stunt man for that shot. She says, even the underwear?
You're scarring her for life, Alexander.
Okay.
Are we allowed to ask about Paul's wonky eye?
Yeah, if you don't tell anyone. 'Cause I'm trying to like not tell.
I know. I don't want to. I that's why I asked if we. I don't want to
I don't think there's any
overstep.
press or anything. It's a contact lens. So he had a contact lens painted with a wonky eye, but then I had one made for the other eye too. So you're constantly off balance watching the whole movie. Like sometimes it's this one and sometimes it's that one.
It's true. They do. They was.
Because that's kind of how it is when you, with all respect to anyone with strabismus, my apologies, but yeah, just to sort of keep people off balance.
Wow.
And he
Movie
was
magic.
blind, so he did the whole movie blind in one eye.
Oh my goodness.
Because it's a contact lens. It's
But it's painted.
remarkably comfortable, he said, but it's opaque and then painted. The white and then the eyeball are painted.
Oh my goodness.
And so if you pay attention to the credits, there's an optometrist who was with us the entire time, putting it in and out so, he didn't get an infection.
Oh Lord.
That'd be bad.
That would not be good.
Your lead actor gets an eye infection.
Never again.
Cody Jennison, and I wanted to thank you for making
Hello.
a splendid movie.
Thank you.
I think many people are going to feel it's extraordinary, and I'm tickled just to be from the same town as you. That just warms me up.
Mutual, I'm sure.
Yeah. I wanted to ask a little bit more about all that time in the editing room, and how do you, because you saw not just what we saw tonight, but you saw so much more footage than we did. How do you maintain your vision with all that and avoid fatigue of seeing and choosing your scenes and choosing which takes to take? How do you avoid fatigue with all that?
Or objectivity or something. I remember we had in editing class at UCLA, our editing teacher was Richard Marks, who had been supervising editor on Apocalypse Now, which millions of feet of footage, and he's really finding the movie in the cutting room. And Walter Murch came in one day to speak to our class, and one of us said, because it took like 3 years to edit that movie, and somebody asked, how do you maintain your objectivity with all of that? And he said, I just go right into subjectivity and stay, and stay there. So this one, you just do it. You just do it. And I don't overdo shooting. I'm a 3, 4, 5 take kind of guy, unless it's a complicated. Oh, when they're in the liquor store, that was 3 or 4 pages in one shot. I think we did 14 takes.
Wow.
Because you're essentially rehearsing.
Right. You're blocking and.
Yeah, and just to make sure the rhythm is right, nobody drops a line, and I don't know. It's a good question, but a hard question to answer.
But I would also imagine by now you and Kevin Tent, you've been working together so long that must help. Having Kevin there to kind of anticipate. He can create assemblages that are pretty spot on, I would imagine by now. Ish. Okay, not so much.
I don't even watch an assembly anymore. An assembly is when the director's done shooting, you go into the cutting room, and often the editor then has slapped very roughly the footage together, and the director is supposed to watch that and not throw up.
Yeah.
Because I always say it's like, it's one day it's going to be an omelet, and right now it's just broken eggs in a bowl. It's because editing takes a long time to get those. I don't know.
Well, and especially with
But it
movies.
is my favorite part of filmmaking is editing.
Because that's where you can find, like you say, the movie is made in the editing, but with something like this where the tonal balance is so crucial and it's so ever-changing, that is where, it's you're editing for emotion as much as anything else, I would imagine.
100%. Well, the script was good. We followed the script. Very few scenes hit the proverbial cutting room floor. And I have my second editor here, Mark Safferstein.
Oh, great. Well done.
Works with Kevin and me. So I don't know, man. Thanks, Cody.
I'm going to count on, just pipe up because I'm not seeing very well.
There's,
One in the back here.
see Michael Alley.
You mentioned looking at your work like a drama club kid, not a business club kid. From Citizen Ruth to the Holdovers, have there been changes to the business club aspects of filmmaking that have changed the way you apply the drama club aspects of filmmaking?
No.
Thank goodness. These are exactly the kinds of movies I'm just terrified we won't ever see again. And so thank you for making them. Because it's never easy, but
I've said this before. I'm tired of hearing myself say it. I'm still trying to make 70s movies, and that's not going to change. And I'm still trying to, the older I get to it, I watch, as I said, mostly old movies. I like classical film style. I'm trying to master classical film style.
thank you for that too. I mean,
And even a movie like this, you can come at it and say, oh, it's really predictable, and the Scrooge is going to soften, and he's going to have it with the boy. Like, you can see, yeah, thanks, Mia. You have all that. You can kind of see some stuff coming, but okay. But then to try to do it well.
exactly.
And avoiding like cliche.
That's right.
Like a salmon swimming upstream among the cliches, and ooh, almost got that one. That one almost got me.
No,
So I'm okay with that.
As well you should be, and I think it's also lazy to call something like that, predictable, because that is skill. It takes more skill to find novelty within that than being flashy or whiz-bangy or gimmicky.
Or overly artsy.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, self-conscious. We can throw out all sorts of words for things we don't like. We'd be here all night.
Michael?
Yeah, there were just so many scenes that resonated with me, and that I became emotional. Oh, not overly emotional. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't weeping in my seat, but no, there were so many moments in this film that just really struck me. And I just wondered, when you were reading the script for the first time, were there scenes where you just sort of had to close it and set it down and cry a little bit?
No.
Softy. Over here?
Once in a while on set.
Really?
Once in a while, I'll get a little.
From a performance like what you're seeing?
Yeah, where I did was in Sideways, when Paul Giamatti meets his ex-wife outside the Armenian church, and he's been hung up with her through the whole movie, and then she says that she's pregnant, and he is crying but smiling, like the actor really was emotional. So I remember feeling pretty emotional myself watching that too. A little bit similar scene, a little bit when the man and the boy say goodbye.
Yeah.
At the church, the dialogue is, "Do you want to go get a beer? No, you never give up. Well, you got fired." But the scene really is, thank you, I love you, and I'll miss you.
Yeah.
So that's.
And they both communicate that perfectly. And that's what makes you cry, is them.
Well, also that scene, we shot that scene toward the very end of the schedule. So those two actors, especially this young actor, did have the weight of the entire experience of making the film opposite this actor that was informing that very feeling.
Right.
So it's pretty real.
Wow. Yeah, it's every time. I've seen it now a few times, and it's a gut punch every time. Really beautiful.
Hello.
Hi.
Over here. One of the things, well, first of all, thank you very much. Spectacular film. I felt so many emotions. But I think one of the things that stuck out to me was like transitions between shots and scenes where it'd fade in and fade out. Could you talk about a little bit how like that added to the ambiance of the film for you?
Yeah, you're talking about dissolves. Where one image is leaving and another image is coming. It's called a dissolve. It predates cinema. It goes back to the magic lantern.
Right.
I'm getting first of all the movies I've made have dissolves. Kevin Tent and I love dissolves.
Why?
Because they're so pretty.
They are pretty. They're so gentle with you.
They're so pretty. And long dissolves, and there's something kind of almost related to poetry or memory, even like you had, like in your life, we have these. It's like I was saying, we have these precious moments in life, and then they just go away, and that's it. And then we die. You know, but
they linger. These you're allowed to linger a little.
Yeah,
longer.
so it's like hear this moment, and then you just sort of watch it evanesce.
Oh.
You know, into something else, and something else comes in, and there's a gentleness and a poetry about a well-deployed dissolve that we like. Also, practice. There's an old-fashioned thing that editors always used to say. Well, when you can't solve it, dissolve it.
Oh, I love it.
Like it's almost cheating, but. A lot of them, like Hal Ashby, has very, very beautiful dissolves in his work, and it's also nice to tell if you. I'm proud of the dissolves in this one because, well, in all the films Kevin and I have done, you look for the final frames, like of the one going away, and if it's still in a good position, you don't catch the actor.
Oh, right, yeah.
Like cutting off a movement or moving that they're pretty elegantly done.
They're gorgeous. And again, I think they're an example of that classical style, right? That's unobtrusive and not showy, and much more difficult to execute than the chop, cutty, stuff that drives me crazy. But who's counting? Anything over? Who are we missing? Who hasn't had a chance yet?
Hello.
Hi.
So I just want to say Paul Giamatti is such a charmer, and I love him so much. If you have a way to contact him, please just give me like his number. I work concessions, so just like meet me afterwards. But my real question is, with the backdrop of like Christmas and like Christmas films being a very like oversaturated market of like a lot of good classic Christmas films, did you hope to like break the mold of like what it means to be a Christmas film, or like follow true to the spirit of what a Christmas film is? Thank you.
I will communicate your affection to Mr. Giamatti. I'm gonna see him on Thursday night for the first time in a long time. Oh, he's going to be on Colbert, talking about the movie on I think Tuesday or Wednesday night. They're getting him out there right away.
I'm sure they are, and Dominic too. I would imagine all three of them.
Yeah, Dominic just went through media training. He's never done an interview before, so. I hope anyway, I'm curious to see what that's going to be like. And then...
the Christmas movie. Did you set out
I
to
wasn't
make an
thinking
instant
about
classic?
it. No.
Yeah.
I knew it took place at Christmas, obviously. And we had fun putting all that Christmas music in it. But I never thought it would be a Christmas movie.
It is. I think
I'm so glad.
Oh, I think it's going to be part of the
people to see it.
canon.
I hope it stays in theater. So the deal with the movie now is, it's in theaters now exclusively. Beginning like December 1st, you can buy it on Amazon or some other. You can rent it for $20, buy it for $25, something like that, and then it'll start streaming on Peacock.
Okay.
January 1st.
Oh, good.
But the goal is to keep it in theaters through Thanksgiving and hopefully into Christmas. Like it's kind of peaking now at 800 cinemas today. I don't know if it's going to go down from there or up from there. They just see what the demand is.
I will tell you again, as a critic, like I said earlier, this is exactly the kind of movie I want to send people to over the holidays, because that's when you're with family and there's all sorts, it is multi-generational. Maybe it's not appropriate for like tiny little kids, but it's such an all-rounder.
And even if you're depressed over the holidays, it works.
This is your movie. This is your movie.
And I've been asked.
It makes you feel seen.
I've been asked, like, what Christmas movies do I watch? And really, it's only one, which is
The Apartment.
Oh no, but no, It's a Wonderful Life.
Well,
which is just a.
But you know who?
Towering achievement.
Of course it is. Paul Paul reminds me, my favorite Christmas movie is The Man Who Came to Dinner with Monty Woolley.
Oh, is that a Christmas movie?
You bet it is.
Rewatch
It's
that.
very much a Christmas. And Paul, there's a Monty Woolley thing going on with Paul Giamatti. You know, that kind of sort of a little bit sour,
You know what?
but adorable underneath.
Nice to be reminded of dear old Monty Woolley, because I've been saying like, well, no one but Paul Giamatti could have done this part. But I've been thinking like, who in film history could have? And I've thought of Charles Lawton.
Yeah.
Edward G. Robinson.
Yeah.
Imagine it.
I like
but also Monty Woolley.
Okay, we'll put him in there. We'll put him in the pantheon.
We're nerding out a little bit.
That's okay. Yes.
Hi. Thank you so much for coming, by the way. My question, since we're talking so much about classical Hollywood films, is there any particular films that you drew inspiration from during your process of making The Holdovers?
Many and none. But I'll tell you, I can tell you because I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to make a Robert Altman movie or I'm going to make a Hal Ashby movie. I was really, as much as I could, saying, what movie would I have made were I working then? Like, what movie would come out of me? And however, in the weeks before shooting, I did pull some prints and screen these movies for the cinematographer, the production designer, the costume designer, and young Dominic, so he knew the kind of movie he was being asked to play in. He'd never seen those movies.
And what were they? Just a few times.
The Graduate. He had never seen The Graduate. He had never seen The Landlord. Little seen Hal Ashby's first movie.
His
Very
first
good.
movie, it's brilliant. Brilliant.
Beau Bridges and Lee Grant.
Lee Grant.
Earl Bailey.
Gorgeous.
Harold and Maude, of course.
Right.
The Last Detail,
Yeah.
which is my favorite Hal Ashby movie. I think we also watched, Paper Moon, which I watch about once a year. That's one of my favorite movies. And I think we saw Clute, two Pakula movies, Clute and All the President's Men.
Oh, right on. Great. I've been told I have one more question, and I'm going to take my prerogative to ask it myself. What's next, and will it bring you back? Any chance it'll bring you back to Nebraska?
I doubt that the next movie I make will take place in Nebraska. However, Hemingson, this writer, I've long wanted to make a Western. And Hemingson now, I finally found a partner who shares my interest in doing so. So we've been this year kind of quietly steeping ourselves in late 19th century and specifically Nebraska history. And are kind of looking, that there's a lot of documentation out in Custer County, Nebraska, it turns out. The famous photographer Solomon Butcher was from there, not only chronicled photographically what he saw in the homesteading experience, but wrote about it. And then there was a really bad, evil ranching family, the Olive family. There have been books written about this. So, and then a lot of social history, prairie pioneer diaries and stuff like that.
The Mormon trail. We just visited the Mormon trail.
Yes, that's
museum today. Yeah.
You went out there? That's
yeah, we
nice.
took a little road trip.
Oh, good. Yeah, that predates it a little bit, but still you pick up the hardships of those.
Yeah. Ooh, that's tantalizing, Alexander. Well, you heard it here first.
So, and we're writing you have to have I don't normally write for movie stars, but you have to have movie stars in a Western to get the financing and everything. So we've got 4 movie stars in mind.
Tell us. You must tell us. We promise not to tell, right?
I'd like to get, but you can't report this or put this on social media. Nothing.
Promise.
Please. Cone of silence.
He'll never come back.
Cone of silence. Yeah, and yeah.
Make it so.
And and I've told
you have to get back
just at
together with
aging.
him.
By the way, let me make a film recommendation, if I may. Ride the High Country.
Oh.
Because I've been asked, like, what movies? Sam Peckinpah's first kind of substantive Western. It has Joel McCrea and Randolph Scott in it, 1962, and it's just beautiful.
Full disclosure, I don't think I've ever seen it.
Well, lucky you.
Well, set up a
Because you get-
screening, and
you
we'll.
get, you get to see that great movie. I like westerns that make me cry.
Exactly.
That one does.
That's
one
wonderful.
of two westerns that really make me.
An odor that's a weepy.
Yeah, an odor that's a weepy. Not too many of those.
Alexander, this has been a
Ann
pleasure.
Hornaday,
Congratulations on a wonderful, wonderful movie.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you all for
Thank
coming.
you for coming.